anyone else sick and tired of the 2024 job market? Like, you go on LinkedIn or you go on Indeed, and all you see is a list of thousands of jobs that are urgently hiring, only to submit your application and not hear anything back. So you go and you submit hundreds of applications to all of these companies that are urgently hiring, only to not hear shit back for weeks. And then finally, 4 months down the line, you get a response from one of the companies and they tell you they're not interested. What? Not to mention all of the jobs on there that say entry-level position, and then when you look at the requirements, you have to have a master's degree and 50 years of work experience to even be considered for the job. What the fuck? Seriously, why is it so hard to find an entry-level job that pays like 15 to 25 bucks an hour that doesn't require 5 years of work experience? Like, bro, if nobody will hire me, how will I ever get experience?
This TikTok is one of the best demonstrations of how terrible the job market is right now, and it is especially true for recent grads. Yet, this doesn't answer the question, why? Well, that's exactly what I'm going to discuss today. Before we get into it, I'm Seth. This is Acquired Salary, the best living through career mastery. If you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. I would greatly appreciate if you leave a like on the video and subscribe to this channel, because it is your support like this that helps to grow Acquired Salary's reach so that we can continue to give you free tools and information and perspectives to build the life that you want. With that, let's dive into it. Before we can know the best way to go about getting a job, we have to keep in mind and understand what's causing the difficulties in the job market in the first place. It all starts with the biggest contributor to this terrible job market, which is going to be the white-collar jobs recession that we're in. We can look to the Bureau of Labor Statistics jobs data and understand why. The U.S. white-collar job market is experiencing a slowdown. Compared to the overall labor market, white-collar workers or jobs are growing significantly slower than the rest of the economy. The economy as a whole has had 1 million fewer job openings compared to last year, but certain areas of the white-collar unemployment rate are higher than the average unemployment rate, which indicates it's worse for white-collar employees. The unemployment rate itself is concerning, as this is a potential indicator of a full-blown recession. And this is shown through the Samuel Recession Indicator. The indicator shows here, it signals the start of a recession once the change goes above 0.5%, and with the most recent jobs report or unemployment report, we went up to 0.53. We all know why the SAM indicator has been triggered, because countless Fortune 500 companies have conducted mass layoffs since the frenzy of hiring immediately after COVID. Some will say this is just right-sizing. For instance, the Wall Street Journal here claims the white-collar hiring rut is here. That's bad news for young college grads. After a pandemic boom, hiring is down for jobs that require a bachelor's degree. These companies just got way too bloated. However, it isn't the case that companies are just right-sizing. Sure, there are some companies that were bloated and needed to conduct layoffs to right-size. However, the other major contributor to the lack of hiring is because of COVID. Specifically, what happened to stock prices during COVID. Everybody threw their money into the stock market, inflating company stock prices, and stock prices have a significant impact on a company's liquidity and cash flow. So during this period, companies had the cash flow and margin to hire people. However, the market has corrected and the stock highs have vanished, resulting in companies' profit margins and cash flow getting squeezed. As a result, companies have to do more with less, and this means they have to be intentional on who they hire. I know this to be true because I've had numerous conversations with hiring managers. They have all said, yeah, corporate's just expecting us to do more with less. The data shows this. If we take a look at the Bloomberg article on the topic, How to Navigate a White-Collar Recession, They highlight a few key things that are important to keep in mind. So Bitcoin's price surged to $60,000, which was a 2-year record high. We are at 60,000, 61,000 right now. A majority of Americans view working remotely as a career risk, and nearly half of college grads today are working high school level jobs. This is further reinforced by CNBC's article here, Why the Current Job Market Has Been Such a Bad Match for the College Degree and Recent Grads. Labor analytics cite a bifurcation in the current labor market. Demand for jobs that don't require a college degree are outstripping demand for those that do, but recent grads are also fixated on certain positions with too many applicants rather than high demand roles. And at larger corporations such as Verizon, collaboration and teamwork skills are just as much in demand as technical know-how and critical to a good job interview performance. So now that we understand that we are in a white-collar recession, why is it so much worse for college graduates? I think it's pretty simple. Hiring managers and mid-level managers tend to have a significant amount of work experience, more specifically managing teams in person. However, managing teams remotely is different. So when all of these hiring managers that had experience managing teams in person got sent to be managed teams remotely, there perhaps for some of the managers was a skills gap or a competency gap. This results in some of the managers having an inability or lower proficiency in managing a remote team. Therefore, their team performance goes down. This inherently creates a bias for managers and hiring managers against remote workers. And although the Pittsburgh or the University of Pittsburgh or University of Pennsylvania study, I can't remember which school it was, on return to office shows that return to office is more of an exercise of power rather than it is to help increase company performance, I don't think this is the general consensus among all managers currently working today. Therefore, hiring managers are going to take their anecdotal experience of remote work being bad and applying it to people that graduated college or had some of their college education conducted remotely. It's well known that companies have been complaining about college not preparing college graduates to actually enter the workforce with the proper skills to work in a professional manner. And this inherently has already created a bias against new college grads for hiring purposes. However, I firmly believe that this is compounded by the fact that a lot of the more recent graduates graduated online or had a certain amount of their college program online, and there's some, perhaps it's unconscious association with, remote work is lower quality and less stringent, so therefore remote college is going to be less stringent and less strict and lowering the overall standards with which you need to meet to graduate. So taking this and combining them, the pre-existing bias against college grads because college hasn't been preparing people, in combination with the perceived decrease in quality of education and skill development with online college, it compounds, and this is why we can see all of these entry-level positions requiring 5 years of experience. And I think this requirement it makes sense because it's 2024. COVID started in 2019. Really, the bulk of it was in 2020. So if you have a 5-year of experience requirement and you hire the person that applies with 7 years, it's likely that you're going to be hiring somebody that was working in a professional manner in person. Therefore, there's more of that social proof of like, okay, this person was actually able to work in a professional manner in person before all the COVID debacle. Now, with all that in mind, what's the best way to weather the terrible job market and the white-collar recession and potentially full-blown recession? Well, first off, if you have a job, do not quit. Quitting your job during a recession is about the worst thing you can do because the number of openings is going to be lower as well as the competition for those openings is going to be high. Second, if you do have a job, do not quiet quit. You may think that you're flying under the radar when you quiet quit, but if your company needs to conduct a layoff, Quiet quitters will be the first to go. Instead of quiet quitting, you need to make sure that you work hard and make yourself very difficult to replace. Third, if you're unemployed, do whatever you can do to stay resilient. I know how frustrating it can be to apply to hundreds, if not thousands of jobs, to never hear back from them. But if you give up now, that's the surefire way to ensure that you get left behind and miss out on any potential opportunities, especially if you're a recent graduate, because the longer it takes you to get a job after graduating, the more likely it is that you're not going to get the job after graduating, because it's like you got the degree, but you never entered a job that uses those skills. So a lot of people understand skills as you use it or you lose it. So from that standpoint, if you're unemployed, don't give up, persevere. Fourth, if you find yourself getting interviews and you think they go well, but you end up getting passed over, you've likely priced yourself out of the market in one way or another. If you are unemployed, temper your expectations. Yes, it is important to know your worth, especially when it comes to negotiating your salary. However, if you have the same skills as somebody who's willing to do the work for $10,000 less in salary or fewer benefits or whatever the case may be, you're effectively pricing yourself out of the market. I know it sucks getting a job offer, doing the same thing you have done before or are currently doing that pays less, but now is not the time to try and switch jobs or change jobs, especially if you're currently employed. Rather, you need to, if you are unemployed, accept a position within reason. If it's going to be paying you half as much as you were getting paid, that's probably not a good idea. It could be a career move that sets you back in the long-term development of your career, but you just have to think about it carefully and not just pass up on opportunities because you're not making exactly what you were at your previous position. Remember, a job is better than no job. And the fifth and final thing that I want to talk about is minimizing your perceived risk as a new hire. And it's important to look at the risk side of the equation as well, because if employers are expected to do more with less, make sure you do whatever you can to add more value to the employer. This may mean you need to go back to get a new industry certification, not necessarily go back to college. However, if you have a work history and your work history shows that you've switched jobs relatively frequently, it might be good to think about it and try and brainstorm some ideas on how to minimize any concerns that this may raise. Because when it comes to hiring decisions, you can be an incredible candidate, but if you have a high level of risk associated with it, given the current economic conditions, companies are going to go with perhaps a slightly less skilled worker that has a lower risk profile just to play it safe given the current economic conditions. Overall, it costs employers and companies a lot of time, money, and effort to hire somebody. So you need to instill confidence in hiring managers that you will be sticking around and be a high return on investment for the company. Overall, what do you think? What are you doing to make it through this white-collar jobs recession? Please share your thoughts in the comment section below. And if you've made it this far into the video, you may as well like the episode and subscribe to this channel so you don't miss out on future videos to help you master your career. If the concepts in this video make sense to you, but you want to take it a step further and improve your leadership skills so you can add more value to your employer, I recommend you join the Acquired Salary community using the first link in the description below. There you will gain access to my leadership and management course, and we can schedule a consultation to go over how to apply these concepts to your specific situation. While you're at it, consider watching my video on my reaction to CNBC's piece on why finding a job feels impossible right now. Until next time.